everyone, welcome along to Sportsbet TV. My name's Paul Alster and I'm with you to guide you through once again the racing coming up in the next few days. And over the weekend of Saturday the 6th and Sunday the 7th of June, we've got classic action in Britain. Hard to believe it's come along so quickly in the very first week since racing resumed after the COVID-19 virus. Well, we've given you a couple of previous previews and looked ahead to racing earlier in the week. Delighted to say we had a terrific result on Wednesday when Nazif, our recommendation at Kempton, duly obliged, and she went in at 4-1. So we really do hope that you were on, managed to make a bob or two, and maybe have a little bit to play with looking ahead to the weekend. Well, we're at Newmarket. It is, of course, the home of the classics, the 1,000 and the 2,000 Guineas. This season, as we've mentioned in previous broadcasts, we really are in a unique situation because there have been no trials. We don't know which horses are in form, which horses are particularly fit, and which trainers are doing best at this time of year. Normally at this point, most of the runners in the classics would have had one or even two previous runs, so we would know more or less where we stand with them. And especially as the classic races are for 3-year-olds, for the colts and the fillies, we will know in a normal season whether or not they have carried forward their very good form from their 2-year-old debut season to the 3-year-old term. This is what we call training on. And there are a lot of horses that just don't improve from 2 to 3 and in fact regress and go backwards. So we're a little bit in the dark, but we've already seen some of the biggest trainers in the business are doing really well. So we'll move straight on now to Saturday the 6th of June, where it is 2,000 Guineas Day at Newmarket. Of course, there are no crowd. It is a socially distanced meeting, so there will be quite an eerie atmosphere on the Rowley Mile. First of all, let's start off with our first recommendation on Saturday. And this is in the very first race of the afternoon at Newmarket, where the ground is expected to be fairly quick. And that is going to suit a horse called Leodis Dream in the Newmarket 115. He's a sprinter. This is a real dash. It'll be over in less than 60 seconds. He's a horse who has won 6 of his 12 career races. And he's trained by David O'Mara and is the mount of David Nolan. They train up in the north of England, in Yorkshire. Very, very good trainer, David O'Mara. And Nolan is a very capable jockey too. Now, the good thing about Leodis Dream is that he's a horse who goes very well when fresh. He doesn't take a lot of getting fit. And so we feel that the fact that he hasn't had a run for a number of months is not going to be against him as it might with so many others in the field. Now, he found things rather harder last year than he did the previous year because he'd gone shooting up the weights in the handicap. Now he's come down a little bit, a little less weight to carry, and we think that at 8-1 each way, and that's available at the time of recording with Ladbrokes and Corals, we think that's good each way value for 3 places in the 115 race at Newmarket on Saturday, and the selection is Leodis Dream. But Saturday, of course, is all about the 2,000 Guineas. This is a classic race for 3-year-old colts over the undulating mile course on the Rowley Mile track at Newmarket. It's been won by some of the greatest horses in history. In recent times, of course, the likes of Frankel and See the Stars. And, of course, have been great horses all the way back as far as racing can be remembered in Britain. Now, this year, we do have an outstanding candidate. And the horse in question is the Charlie Appleby-trained Pinatubo. He was a quite brilliant 2-year-old. He won all 6 races, including at Royal Ascot. He was devastating in Group 1 company at the Curragh, and he also won on the Rowley Mile at Newmarket last season, stamping himself as the outstanding 2-year-old of 2019. Indeed, the amazing thing about Pinatubo is that he's actually rated higher after his 2-year-old career than even the mighty Frankel, who of course was unbeaten in a career of 14 stellar races. The question about Pinatubo is one, is he as good this year as he was last year when he really was quite an awesome force? The vibes have been pretty good from the stable. He's rated a long way clear of his rivals. This is not a handicap, they all carry the same weight. So if he's even £7 below what he was last year, he should win this very easily. But because of his form last year, He's at prohibitive odds. He's odds on to win the first classic of the season, generally 5 to 6, but there is one firm going 10 to 11 about Pinatubo, and that's Ladbrokes. That's at the time of recording. Whether you want to get involved with a horse that is unproven this year, but of course was brilliant last, is up to you. There'll be plenty of punters who feel that at 10 to 11, which is about 91% profit on your stake, it's well worth getting involved in a horse who was such an outstanding force. But I feel that I'd rather look for something each way, even though Pinatubo may very well win. And I've come up with an interesting runner here. Now the horse is called Kenzai Warrior. He's trained by Roger Teal and is the mount of Jason Watson. Now Kenzai Warrior is currently a 25 to 1 chance. He's available each way with the likes of Bet365, Sky Bet. On the exchanges, he's about 45, 46 to 1, but of course there's not the weight of money there, but certainly bigger odds are available on the exchanges. Now this horse has had only 2 runs and he's won them both, including a Group 3 at the end of last season where he won in really determined style and he showed a tremendous attitude. Another very interesting point about this is that trainer Roger Teal, who many of you won't know, he's based these days in Lambourne. It's not so very long ago that he sent out a horse who was unconsidered in the Guineas just 2 years ago, a horse called Tip to Win. And he ran the race of his life, finishing a 50 to 1 second to Saxon Warrior in this very race 2 years ago. So Roger Teal knows what is needed to get a horse good enough to run well in this race. And I think at 25 to 1, Kenzai Warrior is a very, very interesting contender. He's available each way, and there are some firms offering 4, even in some rare cases 5 places for the for the each way odds. So do shop around. Now others worth watching are of course the Aidan O'Brien trained pair from Ireland, Arizona. He's a horse who's very good indeed. And there's the other Aidan O'Brien horse who's fairly prominent in the betting armoury, but I'm not convinced about him. Military March for the Godolphin team of Sheikh Mohammed is another interesting one. The Sheikh, of course, also owns Pinatubo. And Kamiko's a very interesting horse for Andrew Balding, winner of the Grade 1 Virgin Futurity Trophy over the mile, so we know he stays. That was last season, and he's a horse who could well develop into a Derby contender. But for me, it's Kenzai Warrior each way at 25 to 1 with many firms, and on the exchanges 45 available for the win at the moment. So that's Saturday. We'll move swiftly on to Sunday, the 7th of June, where we have the 1,000 guineas. This is the fillies equivalent for the females over the same mile as the 2,000 guineas the colts will encounter on Saturday. Now this time I'm very interested indeed in the horse who is favourite. This is Quadrilateral. Quadrilateral is trained by Roger Charlton, and once again Jason Watson is on board, so this terrific young jockey could have a massive weekend at Newmarket. Quadrilateral won all 3 starts as a 2-year-old. She was unbeaten, including in Group 1 company, and she's a horse who showed a great attitude. She's available at 5 to 2, which I think is a fair price, and the firms offering that at present include 888, Betfred and Betway. So Quadrilateral for me is a horse who I think is going to go very, very well indeed. She's of course up against the likes of Love, who represents Aidan O'Brien, who has a wonderful record in this race, and there are plenty of other fillies that have sporting chances as well. Now, if you're not interested in taking the 5 to 2 about Quadrilateral, how about looking at 25 to 1 odds that are available each way for 5 places with Paddy Power about a filly called Les Augues. She's an ex-French filly. She was a Group 3 winner last season, and she makes her debut this year for George Baker, a very good friend of mine, George Baker, who trains in Hampshire, and this is his first ever runner in a classic. Now, they paid 200,000 guineas for this filly after she did so well in France last season for Jean-Claude Rouget, and the interesting thing about her is that on her final start, she finished second to a filly who has subsequently won the French 1,000 guineas. That's called Dream and Do. So this really is a fascinating horse. If she can run as well as she did last season, when narrowly beaten by the subsequent French 1,000 guineas winner, then you never know, Les Augues might well go very close indeed and maybe get to a place. So she's an interesting contender, encountering quick ground for the first time. We don't know she doesn't handle it. She may even be better. So it is quadrilateral for the win, and Les Oak each way in the 1,000 guineas, the 3.35 at Newmarket on Sunday. And for my final selection, and I'm going to wrap it up now for you, we're looking at the Newmarket 150 race, which is a group race, a listed race rather, over 1.5 miles, but we have a very good group race horse in it, and his name is Communique. He's trained by Mark Johnston and is the mount of Ryan Moore. Communique goes tremendously well on this course. Mark Johnston is one of the great trainers based at Midland in North Yorkshire, and Ryan Moore, a multiple champion jockey and one of the world's greatest jockeys, needs no introduction whatsoever. We think Communique, who loves this track, is really good value. He's on offer at 3-1 with Bet Victor, Paddy Power and Unibet. So in that 150 race at Newmarket on Sunday, Communique is a pretty strong choice from us. So those are our 4 selections over the weekend. Whatever happens, we hope you enjoy your racing, and you don't have to back them all. You can be selective and choose which ones interest you in particular. So we'll wish you the very best of luck and look forward to you joining us again on Sportsbet TV midweek. Thanks for now.